Video was spotted by the site intelligence group which monitors jihadist websites. The footage produced and reportedly released by the Al-Qaeda's official media arm, As-Sahab. And in the 60-minute video, he says very clearly, Gaurav, we will attack beyond Afghanistan. He says, and I quote, the slogan of this period is to make the enemy exhausted until it moans of its military and economic bleeding, and in order to do so, till it shows the importance of the battles outside the field that the enemy expects, and the importance of operations in the lands of the enemies and behind the enemy's lines. Yes, Dr. Bakshi, you were saying something. You were saying something there.
Just a minute. I keep my academic skepticism and academic distance to this type of developments. I'm an academic. I'm not politician. I'm not any decision maker. Of course, we can debate about this type of developments, but always I have to be careful and be skeptical. Therefore,
100%. I don't dispute that. I don't dispute that.
Yeah.
Neither am I questioning it. I'm not at all. All I'm saying is this looks like a current video. In this, he possibly refers to the American troop withdrawal. He talks about stabbing America in its heart, Gaurav, a stab that it has never suffered before. And here it is withdrawing from Afghanistan, defeated after a 20-year war with the help of God. So he's referring to American troop withdrawal. I don't know why. I don't know why, Gaurav, and I want to understand why the world media has gone absolutely blind to this.
Absolutely, Arnab.
I have two very quick points to make. Point number one, Arnab, is the fact that while there may be political differences between the Taliban, the Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State, ideologically they are the same entity.
There is no difference between the Taliban, the Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State ideologically. Politically, they might have their differences. They might kill each other when that thing gets out of control. That is one thing. And second thing, which nobody is also discussing, is that now all these guys, the Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, the Islamic State, they have a country now. The United Nations there was an appeal by the United Nations asking people to engage with the Taliban, which means that the United Nations is essentially saying that engage Al-Qaeda, engage with the Islamic State. This is where it's going.
Yeah. You're right. They're saying that. They're saying precisely that, Gaurav. Can you hear me, Gaurav?
Absolutely, Arnab. Absolutely, I can.
Can you hear me, Gaurav? Yeah, so please,
yes.
So precisely the point there is, America has not got this wrong. It has not got the takeover of Kabul wrong, Nile. It has not got the death of Zawahiri wrong. It has not got the fall of the government in Kabul wrong. They knew it. They've not got the takeover of Kabul wrong. They've not got the Al-Qaeda resurgence wrong. They know everything. The fact is they're partnered in this. They're partnered in this. They wanted the world, Nile, to delineate Taliban from the Al-Qaeda. And now this video which emerges forces the question, what are we heading into, Nile? What are we heading into in the future?
Well, thanks for me on this discussion, a very timely discussion. And I've just actually watched this video. It's very interesting. I can't, we can't tell exactly the timing of this, but I think the real issue here is the fact that we are still waging a war against Al-Qaeda, against ISIS, and their allies, of course, the Taliban as well. I mean, they're all part of the same extremist Islamist ideology. And the fact that the United States has withdrawn from Afghanistan makes the world a far more dangerous place. And, we have to once again deal with the problem of Afghanistan becoming a safe haven for Al-Qaeda and a whole host of other Islamist terrorist organizations. And eventually we're going to have to fight another major war, of course, to defeat the Taliban, to defeat Al-Qaeda and all of their allies. And so, this is a terrible mess, I think, that President Biden has left the United States in. This is an appalling situation. The world is now more dangerous than before. We're returning to the pre-9/11 era. and I think the decision to withdraw from Afghanistan, to shut down all the US bases, is absolutely catastrophic. And I think, you know, we're going to have to face once again this partnership between Al Qaeda and the Taliban, and we're going to have to defeat them once again.
No, absolutely. But, you know, the problem is people look at the short term, Nihal. I'd like to get Sushant Sareen and Imran Shirwani. You know Imran, this kind of insane, unthought, flaky argument that your country puts up, Pakistan, flaky argument. Day after day, you are the PR agents of the Taliban. You're not. You are the ones who are putting up Osama in Abbottabad next to your military complex. You were responsible. You gave him shelter. After he was caught, you brought down the building because you were embarrassed. You gave him shelter. You kept him there. And today you need to think. You need to think. Are you going to now give shelter to al-Zawahiri? You see, Imran, think about it. America, which has been claiming victory in troop withdrawal, needs to take a very long, hard look in the mirror, because the only winners are those terrorists battling for global jihad, the destruction of democracy, and more 9/11 type attacks. You've seen the video now. You've seen the video.
Yes.
What does the video prove? The video proves that your foreign minister has become a spokesperson for this group, the Al-Qaeda, back in the government. Your foreign minister is effectively a PR agent for the Al-Qaeda. You need to be very careful what you're getting into, Imran. See, last time you came on the debate, you fought with me. Today you're going to have to acknowledge you're playing with fire.
We must be worried about two things. First, number one, is that these are not separate groups. These are actually all parts of this concept of global jihad. Now, that concept is very dangerous. It has got nothing to do with Islam or Muslims, but it is a very dangerous concept. It is the concept of terrorism. And what is terrorism? Terrorism is believing that force can take you, wherever. That is the most dangerous thing. That's what individuals, organizations, parties, groups, and even governments are doing now. It's a very dangerous thing. This whole thing that Americans lied, yes, they lied because they're politicians, and politicians they cannot look beyond their own interests. That's a very dangerous thing. We must promote some sort of dialogue, not with Taliban, not with the terrorists, but with other people, with other parties.
This is where it goes off track.
Unless we do that,
dialogue.
Let me finish.
Unless
we do that, we will be on the losing side, because all these groups, whether they are Taliban or they are Al-Qaeda or they are Daesh or whatever, Lashkar-e-Jhangvi, Taiwan, RSS, all these people, they believe in violence. And we must
Imran, hold your horses. Hold your horses when you try to sneak in the RSS out there. You know nothing about the RSS. You know nothing about the RSS. You may be filled with bile and hate towards it, but you be careful about what you're talking about. I'll show you what the Taliban does. You want to see what the Taliban is doing? You don't have the courage to call them out in my program. And you are saying tonight, I want Sushant Sareen to come in. You want dialogue with the Al-Qaeda? You want dialogue with the Al-Qaeda?
And you cannot.
1 minute. Imran, 1 minute.
The Pakistani government was
Imran, 1 minute.
They said there were good Taliban and bad Taliban.
Imran, I want to.
That's very dangerous.
Imran, 1 minute.
That's very dangerous.
Imran, 1 minute. Can't hear you. Imran, listen.
Sure.
I want to show the viewers something, but I want to tell you the contents of this video may be a little disturbing. So we got this video today. But this is also what the Western media is sort of playing down. The Western media is silent on it. No, you 1 second. Just a minute. Just look at this.
Everybody knows.
So viewers, what you're seeing here right now, the video we showed there. Just 1 minute, Imran. Imran, 1 minute, please, if you don't mind. Imran, if you don't mind.
I cannot be an apologist of violence.
Imran.
That is very sickening.
No, 1 second. 1 second. Let's not be theoretical about it. Imran, listen. Imran.
Sure.
Imran, listen. The video I showed right out there, I want to explain it. That video is of women being taken out on the road and being publicly flogged by the Taliban. That's a video of a public flogging. You want to hear the cries of those women there, and then you, people like you, Pakistanis like you, come out and say, let us have a dialogue with these people.
Nobody should condone those things.
No, that's English. You're talking English. Don't talk English with me. Talk facts. No, Imran, I want to get Sushant, and he's been listening to this. You know, it's gone too far.
That is most disgusting.
It's gone too far.
Nobody should condone that.
I think we are all...
Nobody should condone that.
No, Imran, we are all responsible people, and you need to realize there is no vested agenda here. All that, we are not on the same page, Imran. You may want me to be on the same page. I will never be on the same page with someone who says have a dialogue with the Al-Qaeda. But let me bring in...
I know it's your program, and you will just go on, but you have invited me to say something. So would you let me? We understand the problem is that every time somebody sees their own interest, they just stay quiet. That's precisely what happened in the American elections. They knew the truth. The Germans knew the truth. You know, the German minister who came here, now they're saying they want to reassess their Taliban policy. They knew everything about Taliban. They promoted the whole thing. Europeans and Americans and all the other countries.
May I respond and get Sushant in? Then we'll open this up. No. You want me to open this up? Can I open this up? Can I open this up? Just a minute. Okay, now I want to say something. I'll bring in Sushant. Actually, I won't intervene much. But there's one thing I'll say. Stop talking about Germany. Your country, where you are sitting, you are in Karachi. What is happening in Karachi and Islamabad? What is the Al-Qaeda without the Pakistanis? Nothing. You are the sanctuary for the Al-Qaeda. How can you point the finger at European countries first? I want Sushant to come in, please. Very worrying situation today, Sushant, with the facts emerging about the Al-Qaeda. I'd like Sushant to come in. He's quietly listening.
This is not the way. We were having such a civilized discussion, and this guy is now just trolling everybody. This is not the way to do it. So either he keeps quiet, otherwise I'll keep quiet.
Go on, Sushant. Go on.
Listening to him.
No, go on, Sushant. Go on.
One of our colleagues. Yeah, I'll agree with one of our colleagues in the program who said that, actually I'll disagree with him when he says that we are back to the pre-9/11 situation. I think it's much worse now. I don't even think you can compare what was happening pre-9/11 to what is going to happen now. Because once the most powerful military force in the world has been defeated, and there's no other way of putting it, then the kind of enthusiasm, the kind of emboldenment which has happened is unparalleled. And you are seeing, if anybody is studying the chatter of jihadist groups, even ordinary people, who are in a sense ready to flirt with the jihadists, the kind of stuff which is being spoken about is far more dangerous today than it has ever been in history, or at least in living memory. So I think you are entering into an extremely dangerous situation. Al-Zawahiri, yes, he's more symbolic than operational. I think Al-Qaeda has become so big and its footprint has expanded so much around the world that I don't think Al-Zawahiri commands it the way perhaps Al-Qaeda was commanding operations way back 20 years back. I think that's changed. But Al-Zawahiri, much like Osama bin Laden, as a symbolic figure, still alive, still able to incite people, still able to, energize people with his talk, with his writings, with his videos. I think it's a very dangerous sign. Number two. Number three, really, I think, I could understand the Americans withdrawing from Afghanistan. There was fatigue. There could be any number of rationalizations. But the way they have done it, and the way they have surrendered, literally surrendered Afghanistan to the Taliban, allowed them to come in, I think that is extremely troublesome. And then, not only that, I could even understand that they let these guys come in. But then I would have hoped that the Americans, along with the West, would then firm themselves up and then start working towards setting up a system to combat terrorism. What we are seeing now is talk that Americans will cooperate with the Taliban to fight terrorism. What terrorism are you going to fight after that? But Haqqani network is at the intersection of Al-Qaeda and Taliban. When you say I am going to be cooperating with the government in Afghanistan to fight terrorism, then what terrorism are you talking about? Which terrorism? I don't know. Maybe he's talking about, the white nationalist terrorism in America. Is he talking about that? Or is he talking about the terrorism which is affecting millions and millions of people in the part of the world we live in? Right from Maghreb to, Philippines. Is he talking about that terrorism? Is he talking about the terrorism which is hitting Europe? So I don't know what terrorism the Americans want to fight anymore. I don't even know whether they think this is terrorism anymore. In the American lexicon,
I totally agree.
Terrorism is when they fight against somebody, that's a terrorist. When they have made a deal with somebody, that guy is not a terrorist. Is that what they are telling me now? Well, that is not a definition which I think I would agree to. I think our colleagues in Iran, for example, have suddenly realized they also flirted with some of these guys, but I think they've suddenly woken up to the fact that they've done it horribly wrong. I don't even include the Pakistanis in this because they are just neck deep into this nonsense, right? They're part and parcel of the Taliban. The Taliban could never have revived, never could have existed without these fellows. So I exclude them. But let's talk about the Russians. I think the Russians are suddenly waking up that, maybe they have done some flirtation with these guys and this is going to backfire on them. I think a lot of countries are going to start waking up. But I don't know if the West is going to wake up. I think the West has become so effete that it does not want to fight anymore. It does not even want to fight this at an intellectual level anymore. The kind of wokeism you see in the West today, it militates against any kind of fighting, or coming up with a counter narrative. Nothing of the sort. They are far more apologetic than they are, in a state that they want to combat it.
No, spot on. I think Sushant, there you've hit the nail on the head. The West does not want to fight terrorism. The West has been saying to all of us, Kyle, I'm telling you, there is so much frustration all across India, South Asia, large parts of Asia, that the West has been saying all along, don't worry, it's fine, it's fine. It's not fine. Viewers, I'm saying this tonight, the Al-Qaeda is very much a threat. It's just given time to consolidate, Kyle. And Sushant says, where is terrorism? I mean, look at what has happened in West Africa. Look at, the United Nations and UNSC report.
Gravitas, co-presented by Skoda. Kushaq, choose one.
West Africa. That's a UNSC report says. I don't know how an American president can go and say, no, everything is okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. Just because you've got your media in your pocket, just because your media is not going to speak up, but doesn't mean that the people of the world don't deserve to know, Kyle. So it's truly, we're on the edge of a cliff, Kyle, and I don't think we are opening our eyes to the reality.
So someone living in the West and being in the West, I agree with your frustration. I have seen in the last couple of years a lot of people try to discount the threat that Al-Qaeda or ISIS poses and try to reframe that the real global threat is the rise of far-right nationalism in the US or whatever. But if you look at the Global Terrorism Index report that comes out every year, it still shows that 99% of casualties around the world caused by terrorism are from ISIS, Al-Qaeda, ideologically affiliated groups. It is a problem. Mozambique in Africa, the Congo, the Sahel. I think various European countries are concerned. But in the US, there seems to be among some of the progressives, they want to not admit that this is a problem. And if you scan the newspapers over 9/11, the anniversary, which was just 2 days ago, there's a lot of people that are basically dismissing 9/11 and saying that there's a bigger danger coming from QAnon groups, and it's slightly frustrating to see that because statistics based on violence don't match the reality.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think that's so accurate, Gaurav. This whole argument being put out right now, viewers, have you noticed?
Exactly. Just a second.
Go. Yeah, Sushant. Yeah, Sushant. Yeah.
Just a word. I think what he said is just so correct. See, you take a fringe group in America. It's a fringe group, right? QAnon is a fringe group. Some of these white nationalists, yeah, maybe you can call them terrorists, maybe you can call them militant, call them what you will. But they're a fringe group. Now you are making a fringe group, quite like ISKP, you are making a fringe group into a central threat to the rest of the world, basically trying to distract attention from the real threat which is coming from groups like the ISIS, the Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, any number of these characters, right? And their affiliates. But you want to ignore that and focus on, these fringe groups, maybe 500, 600, 1,000 people, localized phenomena. You want to make that into a global threat. How stupid is that?
Yeah. It's stupid beyond measure. Dr. Somaya Morawati also wants to come in. Dr. Morawati, I think Dr. Morawati, why don't you make your point, then I'll come in after that. Yeah.
I think one of the most important thing we have to need to think about that, it's the Taliban, but not exactly the Taliban. Because as we flash back during the Mujahideen in the Afghanistan, after the United States come to Afghanistan, what's their experience during the Afghanistan? I think one of the important things in Afghanistan, we have a different evidence for that. The capacity of the new terrorist group in Afghanistan. It is not important about Al-Qaeda, Taliban, because we know them. I think one of the important security risks exactly for Iran and Central Asia about Afghanistan, it's about the linking and the tie between different terrorist groups in the Afghanistan, and they rebuild a new terrorist group. We don't know them, and so we can't counter with them. In Afghanistan, as you know, under the Taliban, 24 terrorist groups work with each other because of the Bay'at. So I think one of the important things about Afghanistan and Taliban, this is because of the model of Taliban, the other terrorist group understand if they work with each other because of the one goal, they can, after the Taliban, go to Central Asia or China or Kashmir or Iran
and
or
they'll expand like that. Precisely.
I think the Ayman al-Zawahiri, Al-Qaeda, Taliban, or other terrorist group, it is important. But we know them. We know the Al-Qaeda, we know the Taliban, but I think the most important security thing we have to understand and pay attention to them, it's the new group can rebuild in Afghanistan under the Taliban.
Dr. Morawati, that precisely is the point. I want to just very quickly go across to Niall Gardner and Gaurav on this, because I found that point very compelling that Kyle made out there. That Niall, briefly to you, and then I'll go to Gaurav first on that. When you talk, they don't want to talk about Islamist terrorism, jihadi groups, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Lashkar-e-Toiba, Hizbul Mujahideen. No, they want to just say that, listen, these guys are okay and the Al-Qaeda is gone. We need to talk about right-wing politicians and right-wing extremism. That's the real danger. And that point which was made earlier by Kyle, I think is spot on. That's why on 9/11, Gaurav, when there were, and Rita Katz, the director of the site intelligence group, says entire channels, groups, bots, members are dedicated to 9/11 right now, with all the groups just pumping out content justifying 9/11. It's there before you. You've got the terrorists and the terrorist supporters operating completely freely, Gaurav. And right in the middle of that, you have groups, thank you, please. You have groups right then and there, Gaurav, who are simply saying, listen, this is not a problem. These groups are not the problem. ISIS, Al-Qaeda are not the problem. The problem is right-wing political parties, right-wing groups. It's a calibrated global operation. Gaurav.
Absolutely. I mean, what you do is you shift the center of gravity of your focus from terrorism to right-wing groups, and that is what they're doing because people are opinionated as far as politics is concerned. It's easier to hate somebody whom you've already been hating, and they take that hatred, that focus is actually shifting from Al-Qaeda, from the Taliban, and from the Islamic State to right-wing political parties. Now, Arnab, just to add to the previous point that you made, and I think it's very pertinent. You see, what is happening is, Arnab, that Islamic State is a multinational franchisee, and so is the Al-Qaeda. It is only the Taliban that has been operating largely inside Afghanistan and not saying that we are going to attack America or attack Europe. But the problem is now they have a country, and all these people together own that country called Afghanistan. And today, willy-nilly or deliberately, let's say deliberately, Joe Biden has given, Al-Qaeda, the meaning of Al-Qaeda, Arnab, Al-Qaeda means the base. And today Al-Qaeda has a base. And it has a base in Afghanistan, Arnab. That is the problem. Taliban has become Al-Qaeda's base.
Absolutely.
And the literal meaning of Al-Qaeda is the base.
And they are mentioning Grozny, Kashmir, Palestine, everything in one breath. Viewers, the reports of the death of Ayman al-Zawahiri are possibly wrong. The implications are massive. I thank you so much for that conversation. And on the other side, ladies and gentlemen, Yogi Adityanath is going around making jibes at the opposition.